Well, you and I get to stay home today, but it's the New Hampshire primary, and we'll talk about what's going to happen. Thanks for having lunch. Have a nice lunch. Well, today's the New Hampshire primary, and be glad you don't live there and don't have to go out and whatever the weather is up there today and vote. Sometimes New Hampshire winters get pretty bad. Now, set the stage in the New Hampshire primary. Romney, who was governor of Massachusetts, and Massachusetts TV is what 2/3 of New Hampshire watches. So effectively, they live in Massachusetts in terms of their media. And he was a very successful and popular governor, so he opened at about 45% of the vote. And as others have come into the race and they've done advertising and campaigned, his vote share has slipped in the polling from 45 down to about 35 in the most recent poll. In second place is Ron Paul, who has gone from about 13 or 14 up to about 20 on the strength of his good showing in Iowa. And then in third place, it changes, but it used to be Gingrich and Huntsman, and now it's Santorum, because he's moving up on the strength of his performance in Iowa. But you have Santorum and Gingrich and Perry and Huntsman all grouped together for third place, with Paul about 8 or 10 points ahead of them in second, and Romney about 15 points ahead of Paul in first place. So I think those will probably be the results. Now, that is very, very bad for everybody but Romney, because if Ron Paul is decidedly and decisively the second place finisher, and Gingrich and Santorum are sort of out there not competing for second place, that effectively begins to make it a two-way contest in South Carolina between Romney and Ron Paul. Now, right now, Romney is getting something like 30% of the vote in South Carolina. Gingrich is at 20, Santorum's at 20, and Ron Paul is at 4. So obviously, Romney's going to run roughshod over Ron Paul in South Carolina. His libertarian stuff doesn't work very well in an evangelical state. So you've got a situation here where literally it could be over. Romney could beat up on Ron Paul, and that could be that. That could be all she wrote. Is very similar to how Bill Clinton got the nomination. He got rid of Paul Tsongas as his chief opponent, beat him, and then cleaned up defeating Jerry Brown, which was easy. Mike Dukakis did the same thing. He defeated his major opponent, major opponent Al Gore, and then beat Jesse Jackson, which was easy. George W. Bush did the same thing. He got rid of John McCain, his major opponent, and then coasted to victory, beating up on Forbes. So you have that situation where maybe Romney defeats Gingrich and Santorum by very poor showings for both of them in New Hampshire, and then beats up on Ron Paul and coasts to the nomination. That would be unfortunate for the Republican Party, because, well, I think Romney does have the best chance of defeating Obama. I think Santorum and Gingrich have a great deal to offer. And the Republican Party is the worst possible face to put on it is Ron Paul. I mean, the isolationism, saying 9/11 was our fault, saying that we brought it on ourselves, saying that we should repeal the Patriot Act and not be able to tap the phones of terrorists, and if we search their offices, we have to notify them in advance. Ridiculous, outrageous positions. Cut our military and denude us of our defenses. Ridiculous stuff. So I believe that it's very important that Gingrich and Santorum do well in this primary so that there can be some genuine competition down the road for the nomination. But look, Romney has a big edge in New Hampshire. He ratified that edge, I think, with strong debate performances, both on this past Saturday night and Sunday morning. And I think that he's very likely the front runner. I think he's probably going to win in New Hampshire. And then I think he's probably going to win in South Carolina. And then it looks like he's going to go all the way to the nomination. It's too early to be certain about that. And I wouldn't bet O'Reilly a dinner on it. But that's what I think is likely to happen at this point. So come on back tomorrow for Lunch Alert. We'll be analyzing what the impact of the real results in New Hampshire were and how they're going to play out in the course of the rest of the nomination.